Was ist los? I don't know if that's how you actually say it in German. What is this? This is a control panel for an oil well. So let's look at some oil well stuff. This is interesting because they're in the process of pulling this well to replace the pump. This is one of the wells on our place. And so therefore, let's look at some stuff. So just in general, way down below that nodding donkey thing, way down in the ground is where the oil is. And that is where the oil comes up. And then it goes through a pipeline over to this thingamajig, which is called a treater. And I don't know exactly what it does, but it somehow cleans the oil. It filters out some of the junk and it filters off some of the components that can't be used and burns them off. And once it's done going through the treater, it goes over into the oil storage tanks. There's one right there. There's 4 here. They don't use them all. I think they only use 2 of them. In fact, one of them's completely rotted away at the bottom and open, so that's kind of weird, but I don't know exactly how all this stuff works. What happens when the tanks get full is big tanker trucks come out here and hook up to the pipe, and that pipe is locked up so that nobody can steal the oil. And they fill up the truck and then haul it off to wherever it goes to the refinery, and there you go. And this is the nomenclature for what they call this well. And we have a contract with Chaco Energy Company who exploits this well, and they take all the oil out of it and they give us a share once they sell it. So that's kind of the way that works. Anyway, onto the well itself. This big unit is what they call a rig, and I don't have any idea if they can drill with this rig or if it's just for doing maintenance. But you can see it goes way up in the sky, and then it's anchored with these cables to all of these solid anchors in the ground. And that makes sense, of course, because guess what? The wind blows out here, and they got to do this stuff whether the wind's blowing or not sometimes. So then, of course, the whole thing folds down, collapses down. You can see it's in kind of 2 sections. The top section comes down hydraulically, then the whole thing folds over hydraulically, and they stow it up and they can drive it around on the highways that way. And what they have to do with this rig is they have to hook on to the sections of pipe, which they call a string, that go down to where the oil is. And so they hook onto those sections and they pull them up, and then they spin it and uncouple, and then they stack the pipe right along there. You can see those sections where the pipe ends up getting stacked, and they have to take it out one joint at a time, and the joints they go from the ground all the way up above that first platform, so they're pretty long. I don't know what that is, 40 feet or something like that. And then after they pull the whole string up, there's a pump down at the bottom that they have to replace. And they put the new pump on, and then they got to put it all back down to the hole and hook everything back up. So now the nodding donkey, or the pumping unit, that goes up and down, and that's what provides the motive force for the pump to actually pump oil up out of the ground and into the system. So it's counterbalanced up there, but you'll notice that the counterbalances are gone. They've taken those off. And well, the big that's actually not even a counterbalance. It's I misspoke. It's basically the fulcrum where the energy gets transferred from traveling in an arc to straight up and down, and that's just hooked up with a cable over the inner rod, which they call a sucker rod, which actually goes up and down inside of the main pipe string, and that's actually what powers the pump, if that makes any sense to you. And to be completely clear, I don't have the faintest idea what I'm talking about, because I've never done this stuff. This is hard, dangerous physical labor, and I'm a big coward. I'm also old. This is the deal, that hydraulically powered spinner thing that uncouples the pipe. It grabs onto it, pulls it up, and then it spins the pipe around to unscrew it, and then you release the pipe, and it's got all of these, it's hydraulically powered, and it swings back and forth, and it's just pretty amazing to watch what they do. So anyway, they'll use this whole rig to pull that whole string up, and this is where it goes down into the ground, and they got to pull all that pipe. That's the top of a sucker rod right there, for what it's worth. That's the thing that goes up and down inside of the pipe and provides the energy, the reciprocating up and down energy, to cause the oil to flow up through the pipe and into the pipeline, over to the treater, into the storage tank. Hopefully some of that makes some sense. And so this is, I don't know what all of this stuff is. They got some kind of lubricant stuff there, I think, that goes on the pipe threads when they tighten them up. I don't know why they have that. That's probably for cleaning dirt and stuff off of the pipe. They have this lubricating stuff, slurry, that they call mud, that they squirt inside of the pipe to keep it clear while they're pulling it up and down. All kinds of crazy stuff. And of course, everything has to be balanced on these legs, and you're talking about a hell of a lot of mass here, pulling up a hell of a lot of mass out of the ground, and it has to be stable, even in high winds, and with all of the force that they're exerting on everything. It's just pretty damn amazing. And this is the stuff, whether we like it or not, that makes it possible for me to click on a mouse button and get a camera sent to me in less than 24 hours, because everything we do is based on energy, and this is one of the ways that we use energy to order our world and to do our stuff, and it's all good. A couple of weeks ago, sludge pit fire, you might remember that. That's a sludge pit right there, so that's where some of the sludge goes in. They're not supposed to burn them, and when that thing fills up with sludge, they have to come in and load it out and take it somewhere and do whatever the EPA lets them do with it. Okay, so that's kind of an overview here, and just for fun, let's scramble up on this oil storage tank. This is going to be a long video, and we're already over 8 minutes. There's a harvester ant nest, which shows you how deadly this is to all living things. It looks kind of ugly right now, but right here in the middle of the whole thing, harvester ants. And they're living creatures, so they're not, they don't seem to be hurt too bad by this. And look here, antelope tracks. Look at all the grass around here. The reason there isn't any grass growing in here is they put down a long-lasting herbicide to keep most of the plant stuff from growing up in here, so they don't have to mow it. Even though it's a long-lasting herbicide, though, it's guess what? It doesn't destroy the world, because look around. There's a whole world, and it's not destroyed. So anyway, let's scramble up on here. This is going to be a terribly long and boring video, I'm afraid. It appears that this is perhaps a composite tank, or maybe that's just a coating. Yeah, I think it's actually steel. Well, no, it's not. It's actually fiberglass. Imagine that. Anyway, you probably can't see down in there. A lot of times you can see the oil down there, and listen to that. This tank is largely empty. So we took that trip up here for no reason. It's kind of a little different view. You can also see down there at the left side of the Nodding Donkey pumping unit, there's a big old electric motor there. And that's what provides the input energy to cause everything to work. The Nodding Donkey to go up and down and pump the oil. And so we started over there by that electrical panel. And that's how you get oil out of the ground. And interestingly, the electricity we get around here is almost entirely from coal-fired plants. So you gotta harvest coal out of the ground to boil water and make steam and turn turbines and make electricity that gets sent over here through the electrical grid to turn that motor to make that Nodding Donkey work to pump oil out of the ground to get oil to run the economy and make your car go. So, hope that's not too terribly disjointed. I know it's too long, but what are you gonna do? I'm kind of a long-winded guy. Anyway, that's an interesting look at oil production in the middle of production.